bir etkinliğe gideceğiz. Bu video sanırım Dahiller Family ilk YouTube videosu olacak. En azından şimdilik öyle gözüküyor. Sizinle bugün sinemateke gidiyoruz. Bu arada Mike Leigh'in bir master class'ına katılacağız. Öncesinde film izleyeceğiz. Yönetmenin Next filmini. Sonrasında ise master class'a katılacağız. Bu master class'tan size kesitler göstereceğim. Şimdi sinemateke doğru yürüyoruz. Oraya vardığımda tekrar size etrafta göstermeyi planlıyorum. Buradan sonra sizinle bir kez daha geleceğiz. Çünkü burada aynı zamanda çok özel bir sergi olacak. Onu hep beraber aynı blok içerisinde göreceğiz. Şimdi kapatıyorum. Sinemateke vardığımızda tekrar görüşmek üzere. Bir maç arası veriyoruz. Biraz burada oturdum. Zaten bir sıra var gözüküyor. İnsanlar da geliyor yavaş yavaş. Gerçi henüz galiba bakalım. Yani tam bir saat var açıkçası. Ama bir kalabalık oluşmaya başladı. Büyük ihtimalle sergiyle alakalı. Sizi bahsettiğim bu sergi, Mesendarsson sergisi. Onun için bu hafta içi tekrar geleceğiz. Aynı blok içerisinde göreceksiniz. Bu arada arada rüzgar oluyor. Umarım çok fazla etkilenmiyordur. Kameranın mikrofonu eğer çok fazla etkileniyorsa ayrı bir mikrofon ekleyebilirim bir sonraki videolar için. Ama bu video için şimdi kusura bakmayın. Şimdi bekliyoruz. Kafe yavaş yavaş en azından dışarıdaki kısım boşalmaya başladı.
relationships and male behaviour. That's on one level. But also on a completely different level. I mean, we made the film in 1992. So when I was thinking about the things that I somehow wanted to bring to a film, I was starting. The millennium was on the horizon, but it was 8 years away, and really nobody was really talking about the millennium and the things that were going to happen that the millennium doom was about. One of the things which people had started to talk about and link with the millennium was the total eclipse that was going to happen in 1999. When I was 8 years of age, at school, we had a headmaster who, on several occasions, said to my year group, when you are all 56 in 1999, there will be a total eclipse, and maybe it'll be the end of the world. And of course, throughout all those years, I had it in mind that that was there on the horizon. So somehow that fed into one of Johnny's many preoccupations and things. So things were sort of moving. Those things were some of the things that motivated this departure from my study of people just in a domestic setting. No, I shouldn't say just in a domestic.
Le personnage de Johnny, comment vous avez travaillé la façon dont il marche, la façon dont il pense, la façon dont il parle, la façon dont il lit, bref, comment le costume aussi, enfin la tenue, tout cet environnement, comment il est peu à peu sorti de terre et comment vous l'avez façonné ensemble pour arriver à ce personnage un peu inoubliable effectivement.
Well, first of all, you said costumes plural, but he only wears one coat all the time. He's only got one coat.
Vous avez parlé des costumes au pluriel, mais en fait, il a toujours le même manteau. Hein.
Well, first of all, in basic terms, we did what I always do, which is to start by asking David Thewlis to make a long list of people that he knew, Wells, Hartley, all sorts of people, guys, men, and talk about them. This takes a long time, and I listened, and gradually I picked out one or two people that we started to make the source of the character. Now that's what I always do with all the characters in this film and every other film. And so we gave birth to the character. But as I've already referred to Juliet, a big part of the development of the character was his inexhaustible capacity to read and to absorb information in all kinds of ways. And we talked about that, but then he would go off and find stuff, and he'd come back and say, what about this? And I'd say, yeah, or I'd say, how about that? And, that's how it at the same time as developing his life story and his backstory, and not least, at the early part of the preparation, his relationship with Louis. Because the only back relationship of any depth is their relationship. Of course, the girls have been in the flat for a while, and obviously there's a background with them, with Jeremy Sebastian, but the only longer relationship that we explored prior to the action was Johnny. We did all those things. But other things fed into Johnny's mind. One day, I called him to a session at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd been working with other actors on the other things earlier on, and he arrived and he said, you'll never guess, he said, I've just been in Soho, because we were working near Soho, I've just been in Soho in London. He said there was this mad American kid on the street talking about how in the 21st century they will be laser tattooing people's arms, and your credit card will be laser tattooed here and all that stuff, which of course we used and it materializes in the with Brian. We'll talk about his relationship with Brian in the office block later on, no doubt. So those are the kind of things. So apart from the relationship and his relationship with women and his sexual proclivities and his kind of violence and all those things, there's also the stuff in his head, the stuff that he was absorbing. So all of that's part of the development. Have any doubt that life is comic and tragic? We have only to look at you, the audience, and we can immediately see that life is comic and tragic.
Bugün etkinliği bitirmiş bulunmaktayız. Etkinlik biraz uzadığı için ne yazık ki butik veya diğer yerleri gezemiyoruz. Belki büyük ihtimalle bu bizim tek videoda olabilir. Yani sergiyle beraber birleştirmeyebilirim. Ama buraya tekrar sizinle geleceğiz. Etkinlik çok güzeldi. Eğer bununla ilgili yani Masterclass'tan önce biliyorsunuz Naked film gösterildi. Eğer Naked filmiyle ilgili herhangi bir yazı isterseniz aşağı yorumlara bırakabilirsiniz. Veya bu filmle ilgili herhangi bir fikriniz varsa ve filmi seviyorsanız onunla da ilgili not bırakabilirsiniz. Ya da Mike Leigh'in herhangi bir filme yönelik de herhangi bir yorum da bırakabilirsiniz. Şimdilik bu kadar. Dial from Movie olarak ilk videomuz sanırım Mike Leigh üzerine olacak. Normalde Wes Anderson sergisiyle ilgili bir video yapmayı planlıyorduk. Ama Mike Leigh de harika oldu. Videoları editledikten sonra sizinle buluşturacağız. Şimdilik sinemayla kalın.